Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new video, and today we're going to be going over 15 saves you guys have to try in Football Manager 2023. Obviously, we're very close to the beta dropper now, and I'm really excited to get making some content on that game for you guys. If you guys are looking forward to seeing more of my content on the next Football Manager, be sure to smash the like button below and be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. But let's get into some of the saves I recommend you guys should be using or trying out in the next game. So, the first one is going to be Ajax. Now, it's a team which obviously have got such a reputation because they create some of the best wonder kids, some of the best talents in world football. And it's just a team which I think could be very fun to do a save with. Obviously, each slide that is going to have a few points of why I think you guys should be using this team in at least one of your saves in Football Manager 2023. The first point is to carry on, obviously, dominating Dutch football, something which should be quite easy. Obviously, PSV are quite a strong side in that division too. The next point we've just discussed, they do produce some of the best talents in world football. Obviously, if you look at that Ajax squad which got to the Champions League semi-finals, that team was honestly ridiculous. And obviously, you can carry on producing these players and hopefully replicate that as this point here goes on and says, build a team with some of the world's best talents which can eventually fight for European success. Obviously, the stage of Ajax getting to the Champions League semi-final was impressive, but you could be the manager that takes them from getting to the semi-finals to winning the Champions League. Obviously, a big project, but something which I think you guys should at least try once. So, the next one is going to be Bordeaux. Obviously, a team which is quite popular to do one or to do a save with in Football Manager 2022. That is because they were obviously relegated into the second division of French football for the first time after 30 years. So, quite a big storyline there. Something which you could be the reason, you could be the managers to take them back to the glory days. And that is exactly what I've noted down here. Take them back up to the first division, build a team that can compete once again and hopefully challenge eventually for, against PSG, against them top teams in the first division, and hopefully compete for that French league title. Again, this one you'll see quite a lot is the fight for European success, because it is something which obviously is quite a while away with a lot of these sides, but this one especially, you've got a lot of rebuilding to do. I think it could be quite fun, It's a team which obviously aren't used to being in that second division, so you could be the manager that turns it all around and puts them back where they belong in the first division of French football. The next one is going to be one of my personal favourites, is going to be Derby. Obviously, everyone's aware what happened with Derby not so long ago. Unfortunately, Wayne Rooney not able to keep them up, which is a shame. But obviously, at the moment, they are currently 9th in Football League One, so sort of around the mid-table area. And with my sort of ambition, if you've done a save with this, it would be to slowly build a team that can take them back up to the top. Now, obviously, that could mean going back into the Championship, but obviously work your way into the Premier League and hopefully, after a few seasons, possibly even challenge for the Premier League title. Obviously, this is going to be you're going to have to work with a limited budget. That's just how it is going to be. But and a long-term goal, as I said, you are going to be seeing this one a lot on most of these slides, is fight for European success. So one of my favourite things to do inside of Football Manager 2023 is pick a club which aren't really ready for any type of European success and building a team that can eventually win the Europa League, the Conference League, win the Champions League. It is one of the funnest things to do inside of Football Manager 2023. The next team is going to be one which you might not have actually predicted to be in this video. That is going to be with Genk. Obviously, fantastic youth system over at Genk. And again, build a top team with some of the best prodigies you can possibly get. Obviously, that's down to you who you sign, who you don't. But with teams like this, like with Ajax, they have so much talent going in through the systems anyway. It makes sense to use what you've got because it makes the save a little bit more personal once you do sort of raise them and develop them into the players that possibly could win you these big European trophies. Obviously, the task with this one is to dominate Belgian football as well. Obviously, there's a couple of good teams in the Belgian division which you would be fighting against. Anderlecht does sort of come to my mind when I think of that. And also fight for European success again. Very similar to Ajax in my opinion, in the sense of obviously you're one of the best teams in the division. You produce some very hot talent, which could be hard to keep them players at some stages of the game, and also eventually fight for European success. The next one is going to be Hertha Berlin. Now, this team is amazing purely because it's a very fun team to play with. They've got rich history, obviously one of the most well-known Bundesliga sides going. They've got amazing finances as you progress into the season, especially on Football Manager 2022. I noticed this team pulling out some absolutely outrageous signings, so I know the finances are definitely there. You can build a team that can obviously fight for that Bundesliga title. I mean, you've got sort of, you know, your Dortmunds, your Leipzigs, your Bayerns, possibly other teams by the time you get to a stage ready to compete that you will be fighting against. So you're going to have at least 3 teams that you are going to be fighting against each season to finish above. So always a challenge, and also fight for the European success again. Obviously something which I think is probably the biggest accomplishment you could do on Football Manager is to win the Champions League. In my opinion, I think that's just the biggest thing you can do. Something which I've done a few times, not as many as I'd like to, but with Hertha, I feel like there is a real good project there and definitely a load of fun. So in my opinion, probably my second, you'll see the other team, but would probably be in my top 2 Bundesliga saves to do. The next one is going to be with struggling side Juventus, obviously a team which are doing very poorly in the Serie A at the moment, which isn't nice to see. Obviously, it's a team that we all knew growing up, had some fantastic players. Again, rich history, so it's not good to see a team struggling like this at all. And you pretty much the aim of this would be to improve the squad, replace the older players. Obviously, got quite an old backline in some areas, and it's just pretty much, you know, that same thing with the Bundesliga. You're going to be competing against 3 to 4 teams each season for that Serie A title. So you're going to be going through rebuilding the squad, bringing in younger players, also having a real good title battle on your hands every single season until you possibly do build this team, which is absolutely outrageous, where you dominate each season. But in my opinion, this could be a real fun project because you're going to have really good players as it is. Obviously, they've got a good team, but it's just about replacing in some areas and sort of strengthening it up because, you know, the base is laid for you. You just got to work on it and start to dominate the Serie A and obviously the Italian Cups. And again, fight for the European success. Get Juventus back into the Champions League, obviously, and a real contender. Get them back as a real contender for the Champions League. The next one is probably one which I'm pretty sure my friend Jake Cooper is going to be doing, and that is going to be with Leicester City. Obviously, a side which I think every English football fan should have respect for. Obviously, what they done winning the Premier League title, which was just a magical season, to be honest. Your task here is to simply rebuild the current squad. Obviously, at the moment, they do sell some of their best players, and they haven't really replaced many of them. Obviously, you've got players like Maddison that could be leaving. Obviously, they lost Fofana, and Schmeichel as well. It's just about, there's quite a few positions which need that strengthening, and you could be the manager that could replace them players and build a very good side. Alongside of that, they've got a fantastic youth setup again, so that you can also bring players through the youth into the first team and build a team that possibly could, you know, win the Premier League again. It might take you a few seasons, but a few of these aren't meant to be easy tasks. So for me, this could be a very good sort of project for you guys to do. And, you know, 4 to 5 seasons, you might be ready to compete for the Premier League again. And again, as I always like to say, the European success, something which is so important for me. In my opinion, you could take Leicester back to the top, you could win the Premier League, but until you've taken them into European football and at least won the Europa League, you know, or the Champions League, if you want to go real high standard, that is when you can fully say you have completed this save. Now, I'm pretty sure you guys knew this was going to be in it because 1, it's on the thumbnail, and 2, it would be nuts not to have them in. Obviously, Newcastle, one of the most exciting clubs in football at the moment in terms of the takeover, to be honest. Obviously, it seems like they've got endless money. Obviously, financial fair play, things like that do come into account. But you get the highest budget out of any team in the Premier League, pretty much endless money to improve the squad. And although they've got a good team, there's loads of positions you can definitely improve in that Newcastle side. And I honestly think you could make this team in 2 to 3 seasons tops a team that could easily compete for that Premier League title, just because the amount of times I've done rebuilds and played personal saves, and Newcastle always are a force by the 3rd season. So I think you guys could do an even better job. And the last one, again, is to be weird to see it, but let's make Newcastle Champions League winners. Get them into European football, win some European trophies. Why not? I think this could be a real fun save for you guys to do. The next one, another Premier League side, is going to be Nottingham Forest. Obviously new to the Premier League, come up this season, 21 summer signings to use, so you're going to have the task of gelling all of those players together, and it isn't going to be easy, but it is something which I do believe you can do. And obviously, great financial backing as well. And again, it is one of them projects which I think is going to take obviously longer than Newcastle, going to take longer than Leicester. But I do feel like you could eventually fight for European success. And also a point I did miss off is I think eventually, if you use the budget right, you link up some of these new signings that they were forced to sign in really, you could challenge for the Premier League title, in my opinion. But I think the main goal for this will be to stay in the Premier League for the first couple of seasons, build up a little bit of a better squad, gel them new signings together, and then eventually compete for the Premier League and start to get some European success. We then go over to a League One side, and that is going to be Plymouth Argyle, just because for some reason I love this club. I don't know why. I think it's because growing up I watched a lot of Pie Face, I'm going to be honest. But it's always an interesting experiment, should I say, going to manage a club like this. Obviously, find themselves in Sky Bet League One. You get used to working with a limited budget, so it's a little bit more challenging. Slowly improve your squad as you go up the divisions. Obviously, you want to go into the Championship, which isn't going to be easy, and then going from the Championship to the Premier League as well, which isn't going to be easy. And then that is the aim, really, just take them from League One to the Premier League. Granted, you could pick a League Two side. It depends how far back you want to go. You could even go into the Vanarama. But for me, Plymouth Argyle are a club that's fairly well known, and I just feel like they are the perfect choice, in my opinion. And obviously, we're talking sort of probably 5 to 6, possibly 7 seasons in. You might even see yourself getting some European success, or the possibility of fighting for some success, because it is doable. It just depends on how many seasons you want to do with the same side. Now, this one's a personal favourite, might not be for everyone. This is pretty much my favourite club. I'm going to be on. Well, hang on, let me take that back. Favourite club is Manchester United, but in terms of, I don't know why, I don't know where it come from, but I have had a thing for Leipzig now for absolutely years. I genuinely love Leipzig. I don't know what it is about them, but I genuinely just love it. And for me, it is a perfect save, because you have this fantastic youth development. They create some fantastic players, and yes, you do have the task of keeping them. Obviously, Liverpool poach a lot of their talent. Bayern are a serious issue. So for me, this will be the matter of making Leipzig the giants in Germany, making Bayern the ones which you poach their players from, completely flip the table, turn Leipzig into the best German team, poach Bayern's players, give them a taste of their own medicine. And for me, they have got a good budget as well, something which I did add, possibly not in the first season, but as you do go on, I know this from the rebuilds on my personal save, the budget is reasonable. It's actually quite good. So you can definitely have a few seasons to build that squad up, compete for the Bundesliga title, and also get some European success, because the current side is actually quite good. They've got fantastic players. Dani Olmo and Kunku, Szoboszlai, Konrad Laimer. Obviously, they do lose a lot of their players, like looking at like some Mukalele as well. They did depart, obviously. And obviously, they've got Werner back now, which is a very good striker, to be honest with you. Just couldn't quite hack it in the Premier League. But they are a fun team to play as, and a team which, to be honest, would be my go-to out of any German team. A little bit of bias in there as well, but for me, honestly, if you're looking for a team that is already in the Bundesliga, not in the lower tier of German football, but is also going to be a challenge, go with these, because honestly, they are a great side. The next one is going to be Roma, obviously a team which a lot of people are probably watching at the moment if you like Mourinho. Mourinho's one of the managers. Very few managers take over fans, in my opinion, but for me, ever since I saw Mourinho, his character's amazing. I always keep an eye on whatever club he's managing and see how they're doing, and this is what it's going to be based around. Carrying on Mourinho's rebuild, obviously bringing in Tammy Abraham, bringing in Dybala, bringing in some fantastic players, top young talent in the team to build around as well. Obviously, you've got Zanilio, who you can build around, Tammy Abraham even. So there's also really, really good players pre-made for you at the club. And again, compete against 3 to 4 teams in the Serie A for that title each season. Obviously, to be fair, probably more than the Bundesliga. You've got Inter Milan, AC Milan, Juventus, Napoli. Obviously, depending on how they do their business, that each team's going to be doing better each season. But some very, very good teams in the Serie A. And again, fight for European success. As a personal touch to Mourinho, obviously, you want to see Roma back in these big competitions, winning the big bucks. Next one, again, is going to be in German football. I don't know if you can tell, but I do really like my German football. And this is pretty much going to be a slightly harder equivalent to a Leipzig, because you're going to be working with limited finances. You're going to have to fight to stay in the Bundesliga, which they do look like they're going to be struggling to do at the moment in real life. You're going to be forced to build a team that can eventually compete with the Bundesliga teams, the Bayerns, the Leipzigs, the Dortmunds, the Leverkusens, if they do suddenly start picking it up. Some fantastic teams, and also fight for European success. So there's 4 things, and all 4 are very, very tough. But if you want a save which is going to take you a while to really start competing, but you don't want to start in a lower division, this would probably be one of my highest recommendations, because the team they've got is decent. Probably not Bundesliga quality in terms of getting to the mid-table. The first season is going to be all about survival. You're going to be working with limited finances. And to be honest, it is going to be difficult. But if you want a challenge, but also be at the top flight, then I would definitely recommend this. Now, you're on about challenges, right? This is by far probably the hardest one. Currently 19th place in the French second division after going down. So you're forced to sort of, recover them from that to start with, and then you're working with a limited budget as well. You're going to have to slowly, and it will be a slow rebuild, to sort of get the team back to where they belong, into the French first division, and that might take a few seasons alone before you can even start competing for that French league title, and the European success might come years after that. So this is for the veterans, for the football manager managers that are confident of taking on a challenge, that can work with a limited budget, that have got a bit of time on their hands as well, because you're going to need to play quite a few seasons. So in my opinion, this will be a very, very fun one. One I'm even tempted to sort of do later on in the year. Obviously, if you don't know, the current save I'm going to be doing is going to be Leipzig, which is going to be my private save, and an online save versus my mate, which is going to be Arsenal versus Tottenham. But for me, this could be a very, very fun option, and one which I definitely recommend you guys try at least once in the year, because let's face it, we've got a year of Football Manager, we're going to have more than one save. Right, and the last one is going to be Union Berlin. Currently the Bundesliga's surprise package, currently top of the league, which, God knows, anything's possible in football, so that is probably why. Again, with this team, although they're top of the league, they probably haven't got the quality in the team which can consistently do that. I think they're just having a very, very good season. Obviously got a very, very good manager as well, with Bayern slipping up occasionally, Dortmund and Leipzig also slipping up. Again, this would simply be the task of growing the squad so you can consistently be up there with the top teams competing for the Bundesliga title, fight for European success again. And obviously they won't have the best of the best budget, but obviously if you do well in the Bundesliga, you consistently get these top 4 finishes, possibly even a little bit of German trophy success, you're going to be seeing more and more money. So there are ways you can top your transfer budget up. As these veteran players know, I'm not telling you how to play the game. These are going to be my 15 teams, guys. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Obviously, these are just suggestions, but these are going to be 15 of the saves, which I am very, very tempted to do myself. Please do leave a comment below right now of the first save you're going to be doing Football Manager 2023. And please do show some love on the video by liking it. Be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. But that is going to be it for me today, guys. And I will see you in the next one.